guys, it's Angela from 9 Inspired coming at you with a crochet pattern. If you've been following me for any length of time, then you already know it. It's Sally's Patchwork Pumpkin, and I decided to make a video tutorial for it to help folks out. Go over the materials here really quick. I use worsted weight yarn. You're going to need 4 colors: teal, yellow, magenta, and black. Feel free to use scraps. You don't need crazy yardage for anything. It's going to be about 30 yards teal, 20 yards yellow, 40 yards magenta, and 20 yards black. You're going to need a 5mm hook. You're going to need some stuffing, an embroidery needle for the details, and a stick for the stem, or you can use a wine cork or like a little faux leather tag or whatever you have on hand. Just make it work. And without further ado, let's get into the pattern. We're going to start by making a little yellow patch to go on the surface of our pumpkin. This is also a good way to practice the moss stitch corner to corner before diving into the full pumpkin project. We're going to start with a slip knot, and for row 1 we're going to chain 3, and then we're going to single crochet in the 3rd chain from the hook. 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to turn. Row 2 starts with a chain 3, and then in that chain 3 space we're going to put a single crochet, a chain 1, and another single crochet, and then turn. Row 3 starts with a chain 3. We're going to single crochet in the first chain space here between the first 2 single crochet stitches. Then we're going to chain 1, and then in that chain 3 space we're going to single crochet, chain 1, single crochet again, and then we're going to turn. Row 4 starts with a chain 3. We're going to single crochet in the first chain space. We're going to chain 1, single crochet in the next chain space, chain 1, and then in that chain 3 space we're going to single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, and turn. Row 5 starts with a chain 3. Single crochet in the first chain space, chain 1, single crochet in the next chain space, chain 1, single crochet in the next chain space, chain 1, and then in the chain 3 space, single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. Row 6 starts with a chain 3. We're going to single crochet in the first chain space, chain 1, single crochet in the next chain space, chain 1, single crochet in the next chain space, chain 1, single crochet in the next chain space, and then single crochet in the chain 3 space. This starts our decrease. Turn. Row 7, we're going to chain 2, and we're going to single crochet in the first chain space. We ended row 6 with 2 single crochet stitches, so the first chain space is directly after those 2. Then we'll chain 1, single crochet in the next chain space, chain 1, single crochet in the next chain space, and then single crochet in the chain 3 space, and turn. Row 8 starts with the chain 2, single crochet in the first chain space. It's directly after the first 2 single crochets. Then we'll chain 1, single crochet in the next chain space, and single crochet in the chain 2 space, and turn. Row 9, we're going to chain 2, single crochet in the first chain space after those 2 stitches there, then chain 1 and single crochet. Oh, sorry, no chain 1 on this one, just single crochet in the chain 2 space, and then turn. And then row 10, chain 2 and slip stitch to the chain 2 space, and then we fasten off, and that's our little yellow patch for our pumpkin. We're going to start the body of our pumpkin with the color yellow. We'll start with a slip knot, and for row 1 we're going to chain 3 and single crochet in the 3rd chain from the hook. 1, 2, 3. Turn your work, and begin row 2. Chain 3, and then in that chain 3 space, we're going to single crochet, chain 1, and single crochet, and then we're going to turn. Row 3, chain 3, single crochet in the first chain space. It's between the first 2 single crochet stitches there. Then chain 1, and in the chain 3 space, single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, and turn your work. Row 4, chain 3, single crochet in the first chain space, chain 1, single crochet in the next chain space, chain 1, and single crochet, chain 1, single crochet in the chain 3 space. We're going to keep repeating this increase until we get to 13 rows. I'll show you one more row. Always start with a chain 3 and always single crochet in between the first 2 single crochet stitches in that first chain space. Then chain 1 and single crochet, chain 1 in each space across until you get to the chain 3 space. And then remember, in the chain 3 space, do single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. So keep going until you have 13 rows, and then I'll meet you back here. To count your rows, I like to look for the little V's of the single crochet stitches. So you should have 13 now. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We're going to switch to teal now. So I'm going to go ahead and take out my last single crochet so we can switch colors. I'll start the single crochet stitch by inserting my hook into the chain 3 space and pulling up a loop so that I have 2 loops on my hook. Then I'll grab my new color of yarn and pull through those 2 loops with the new color to switch. Then we can turn our work and we're ready to start row 14. We're going to chain 3, single crochet in the first chain space, and chain 1. And these are just like the yellow rows. These are increasing rows. So just single crochet, chain 1 all the way across. Takes a little bit longer now that the rows are larger. And then when you get to the chain 3 space, remember to single crochet, chain 1, and single crochet again in the chain 3 space. I love the way that the moss stitch gives the color change here, the like sawtooth look, because I feel like it really works well for Sally's patchwork vibe. Okay, so you're going to keep increasing like that until you get to 23 rows. So keep going with the teal, starting with the chain 3, single crochet, chain 1 all the way across, and then in that chain 3 space, single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. Pause your video and I will meet you back here once you've completed row 23. Alright, that's 23 rows done. The next row, row 24, is our first decreasing row, so it's going to look a little different. We'll start with the chain 3, and we'll single crochet in the first chain space. Then we'll chain 1 and single crochet in the next chain space and chain 1 all the way across. The difference is going to happen at the end of this row, because we don't want a giant square and we don't want to just keep increasing forever and ever. We're actually going to make a rectangular piece, so we need to start decreasing on one side. My skein of yarn fell on the floor and now I have to fight with it. Yay for me. Okay, when you make it across, this is the difference here. We'll single crochet in the last chain 1 space, and then without chaining 1, we'll single crochet in the chain 3 space. So we have 2 single crochet stitches right next to each other at the end, and then we'll turn. For row 25, we're going to start with a chain 2, just 2 stitches, not 3, and we're going to single crochet in the first chain 1 space. Remember, we ended with 2 single crochet stitches, so we'll skip those, and then the chain 1 space is directly after that. Then we're going to chain 1, single crochet in the next space, chain 1 all the way across, until we get to the opposite side. We're going to end row 25 the same as we have been doing for the beginning of this project. By putting a single crochet and a chain 1 stitch in the last chain 1 space, and then in the chain 3 space, single crochet, chain 1, and single crochet. We're going to keep going in this manner. This side is going to continue to grow because we're always going to start with a chain 3 and we're going to end with a single crochet, chain 1, single crochet in that chain 3 space. This side is not going to go any farther this way because we're always going to end with 2 single crochet stitches right next to each other, and we're going to start with a chain 2. So you'll see this side will start to come up straight like this, and that's how our rectangle is going to get made. I'll show you a couple more rows, but it's pretty much the same thing here. So row 26, we'll chain 3, and then we'll single crochet in the first chain 1 space and chain 1, and then single crochet, chain 1 all the way across. Contemplate the meaning of life, or think about what you want to have for dinner later. And then, you know, eventually you'll make it to the end of the row. And you'll notice that it looks a little different, which is going to be your cue to remember that this is our decreasing side. You can already see the little 90-degree angle that we made here. Remember, we're gonna single crochet in the last chain 1 space, and then don't chain 1, and then single crochet in the last space here. This is our chain 2 space from the last row. The next row is gonna be the same as row 25, but we're gonna add some color changes into the mix. I'm going to undo my very last stitch. We need to switch to our next color, which is going to be the color magenta. So remember to switch colors. We're going to start with our current color, insert your hook into that chain 2 space, pull up a loop, so there's 2 loops on the hook, and then grab your new color of yarn and pull through those 2 loops. And then we can turn, and then we can start row 27. We're going to start with a chain 2. We're going to single crochet in the first chain 1 space, which is here after those 2 single crochet stitches that are right next to each other. And then we're going to repeat the next set of instructions 4 times. Chain 1, single crochet in the next chain space. That's 1, chain 1, single crochet in the next chain space. That's 2, chain 1, single crochet, 3, chain 1, single crochet. That's 4. Then we're going to switch to black. So I'm actually going to undo this stitch and change to black the right way. Okay, so I'm switching to black here, and then I'm going to repeat the next set of instructions 4 times. Chain 1, single crochet. That's 1, chain 1, single crochet. That's 2, chain 1, single crochet. That's 3, chain 1, and single crochet. Then we're going to switch back to magenta, so I'm not going to finish that stitch with black. And I'm just going to grab the magenta yarn that I let go and pick it back up. It's going to make a little float on the back of the work here, but that's totally fine. We're going to pull through these 2 loops with our new color, and this last black loop got a little unwieldy, so I'm going to pull on that black tail to make that a little smaller. Okay, we're going to repeat the next set of instructions 4 times again. Chain 1, single crochet in the next chain 1 space. That's 1, chain 1, single crochet. That's 2, chain 1, single crochet. That's 3, chain 1, and single crochet. Then we're going to switch back to black. I'm going to drop the magenta yarn, pick up the black yarn here, just let it float across the back here, pull through these 2 magenta loops with my new black yarn, and pull on that magenta tail a little bit to tighten that last stitch up. We're going to repeat the next set of instructions 4 times. Chain 1, single crochet in the chain 1 space. That's 1, chain 1, single crochet. That's 2, chain 1, single crochet. That's 3, chain 1, single crochet. That's 4. I'm not going to finish this last single crochet stitch because we're going to finish it off with magenta. I'm going to drop the black yarn, pull the magenta yarn up, pull through with that new color there. Repeat the next set of instructions 4 times. Chain 1 and single crochet in the next chain space. That's 1, chain 1, single crochet. That's 2, chain 1, single crochet. That's 3, chain 1, and single crochet, and that's 4. Then we're going to chain 1 again and single crochet, chain 1, single crochet in the chain 3 space, and then we're going to turn. Okay, for row 28, we're just going to keep our magenta and black in the same columns here as we work this row, and it's going to be the same as row 26. So we're going to start with a chain 3. We're going to single crochet in the first chain space, and then we're going to chain 1 and single crochet until we get across the first magenta section here. And then on our last magenta single crochet, we're going to switch colors. I'm going to drop my tail towards me so that all the messy tails end up on the same side of the work. And then I'm going to pick up my black yarn. Then I'm going to continue chain 1, single crochet until I get across the black section here. And then I'll change color on the last stitch of that section. And start in on the magenta section. This section, keeping the 2 columns straight, can get a little confusing if you overthink it. But if you just go to the last chain space of the current color and then change colors, you'll be on the right track. Just trust the process and keep going with it, and you'll see that it's turning out in the end. When we get to the opposite side of row 28 here, we're going to see our 90-degree angle and recognize that this is the decreasing side. So between our last 2 single crochet stitches, there won't be a chain 1, just 2 single crochet stitches next to each other, and then we turn and we're ready to start row 29. As you keep going with these 2 color columns, you'll see that this first magenta section over here gets smaller as this side decreases, and then this side will get longer. That's totally normal. You're going to keep going with these 2 colors until you have a total of 19 magenta and black rows. And then I'll meet you back here for row 46. When you're done with your 19 rows of magenta and black, you should have something that looks like this. I haven't completed my last stitch here because for row 46, I'm going to switch to the color yellow. So I'll switch the color here on the last stitch of the last row and then turn. And for row 46, it's nothing special. We're going to start with our chain 3. This is our increasing side, single crochet in that first chain space, and then just chain 1 single crochet in the next chain space all the way across, remembering to end with 2 single crochet stitches right next to each other, and the last single crochet stitch will go in that chain 2. So just like the row before it without the color change. And then I'll meet you back here for row 46 where more exciting things will happen. All right, I've just completed row 46. I'm going to go ahead and fasten off my black and magenta so they're not in the way. And we are now going to begin decreasing on both sides of the work. So you will see these ends here will both start coming in here. We're going to fill in this rectangle to make a 90-degree angle over here. So for row 47, we'll start with a chain 2, single crochet in the first chain space, which is after those 2 single crochet stitches there, chain 1, single crochet in the next all the way across, and when we get to the other side, it's going to look very familiar because it's how we've been decreasing that one side the whole time. Only now we're going to do it on both sides. All right, so I'm going to get there. I'm going to single crochet in the last chain 1 space here. Then I'm not going to chain 1, and I'm going to single crochet in the chain 3 space, and that is row 47 done. For row 48, we'll start with a chain 2. We'll single crochet in the first chain space, which is after those first 2 single crochet stitches, and we're going to chain 1, single crochet all the way across. Okay, I'm at the end of row 48 now, and you can see how it's starting to shape up with our new right angle here. That's going to come over to meet this side here. Continue decreasing on both sides with yellow until you have 6 total yellow rows, and then meet me back here and we're going to switch colors. Okay, sorry, you should actually have 7 rows of yellow, and then for our next row, row 53, we're going to do that one in teal. So I'm going to go ahead and switch colors on the last stitch of this last row here. And then this row is going to be just like the yellow ones. We're still decreasing on both sides. So starting with a chain 2 and ending with 2 single crochet stitches right next to each other. Keep going like this, decreasing with teal. And I'll meet you when you're almost at the end. All right, let's work the last few rows together. I'm on row 67 here. Chain 2, single crochet in the first chain space, chain 1, single crochet in the next chain space, and single crochet in the chain 2 space. Turn and chain 2. For row 68, we're going to single crochet in the first chain space, and then we're going to single crochet in the chain 2 space and turn. For row 69, we're just going to chain 2 and then slip stitch to the chain 2 space. Then we are going to fasten off, and we're ready to add some details. Okay, so first we're going to add some skinny stripes to the first teal section here. You can use surface crochet or you can embroider with an embroidery needle. I'll be showing you how to do the surface crochet version today. I like to start with my slip knot on my hook, and then I start next to the work, and I'm holding the yarn underneath the work here. Sorry about all the yarn tails, but I'm definitely not weaving those in. I'm just going to hide them inside the pumpkin. Let's be real. Okay. So I'm going to go into this first stitch here. I'm going to grab the yarn from underneath. And this is really hard to see because it's black, so I apologize. And then I'm just going to pull the yarn up and through the loop that I had on the hook. And that's just going to make a chain stitch on the top of the work. Then I'm going to go into the next stitch and grab the yarn again and pull it up. And I'm just going to make sure that I'm going in a straight line here. Every other stitch is going into the chain 1 space, and every other stitch is going in the middle of the V that the single crochet creates. All right, I've crocheted all the way across here. I'm just going to go ahead and end with a chain stitch, and then I'm going to fasten off. Then I'm going to start back on the same side, up just a couple rows, and do another row, and another row, and another row, until this whole section has black and teal stripes. And I'll meet you here when I'm done. Okay, I'm all done with my teal and black stripes here. For the next detail, you're going to want to chain a length of 40 stitches and then fasten off, leaving a long tail for sewing. We're going to use this to make Sally's signature swirl on the largest magenta section here. So I'm going to decide where I want the center of my swirl to be. And then I'm going to go in with my embroidery needle. I just pulled some chains through. And then I'll come back up and out underneath the next chain stitch here. And I'm going to start encouraging it to curl around this way, go down into the next stitch, and then up underneath the next stitch, down into the next stitch, up underneath the next one, and just keep going like that until you run out of chain stitches. All right, I've reached the other end of my chain section here, and I'm just going to go ahead and pull this starting tail through to the wrong side. And then I'll knot my 2 tails together here on the back to secure them. The next section that we're going to work on detailing is the second yellow section here. You're going to start by cutting a piece of yarn, maybe like 3 or 4 inches. I don't know, just eyeball it. We're going to bring both sides of this short piece of yarn up around a single crochet stitch. So just pick any old single crochet stitch here. We'll bring one side up on one side and then the other side up on the other side. Then we're going to tie a double knot. And then we're going to pull the ends back through to the wrong side of the work. And on the back side, we're going to double knot again to secure. This is just going to make a little black dot. If you are a fancy embroidery person, you could also do a French knot. Those might look a little neater, but I think this works just fine. Just pepper them throughout the yellow section until you're satisfied, and then I'll meet you back here. Okay, last but not least, we're going to put our little yellow patch on. I chose to put mine on here between the teal and black stripes and the thicker magenta and black stripes. And I'm going to try to use the yarn tails here, but I didn't leave them very long, so I might need a little bit more yellow yarn. And the trick here is to just be really messy so that it looks, you know, more like Sally's signature style. Don't be afraid to go really far away from the patch to create longer floats of yarn like that one. Come in from different angles. Just have fun with it. This is definitely not a project for perfectionism. Keep going like that. Make sure to secure your yellow yarn tails on the back of your work, and if the back looks like a dumpster fire, then you're on the right track. We're going to go ahead and close up our rectangle here. So keeping the wrong sides facing out, we're going to stitch the two short ends together. You can use any color of yarn you want because ideally we're not going to be able to see this from the outside. In order to do that, I'm just going to keep my needlework really close to the surface. Instead of going in and out, you know, up and down, I'm going to go more like on top of it and try to keep my embroidery needle here horizontal. Mattress stitch is really good for this. So I'm just going to grab a loop on the top of one side, and then I will grab a loop on the top of the other side. And I'm just going to go back and forth like that all the way across. Alright, when you get all the way across, just make sure that you pull your stitches tightly, especially with the mattress stitch. It needs a little encouragement to disappear. And then we're going to try to leave a generous yarn tail on either side here to sew up the rest of the pumpkin. We'll turn it right side out. And then we have a decision to make here. What is going to be the top of our pumpkin and what is going to be the bottom? And I think I like mine oriented like this. So for the bottom, I'm going to find the long yellow yarn tail that's coming out the bottom here. Here we go. I'm going to use the running stitch technique to weave my yarn in and out all the way around the circle created by the end of the tube. And this is like how a drawstring bag works. So super simple running stitch, just in and out and in and out. And we're going to go all the way around like that. When you get all the way back around to where you started, go ahead and pull on that tail really tightly. Keep pulling until the bottom is all gathered together like that. I'm just going to double knot it with one of the available yarns here. And I'm going to use my crochet hook to pull all the yarn tails inside here, keep them hidden. All right, then we can turn it right side up here. I'm going to leave my one long strand out to close up the top, but everything else can be tucked neatly inside. And then we're going to go ahead and stuff it. Waste not, want not. I like to use leftover project scraps, yarn tails, whatever I can get my hands on really. Run out of yarn tails, then you can start using actual stuffing. And I like to just act like I'm sculpting a clay pot and just push the sides out like this. You're really going to need a generous amount of stuffing for this to look at all like a pumpkin and, you know, not just like a weird blob. When you have it stuffed as firmly as you would like, go ahead and insert whatever you're using for a stem. I will be using this fancy dancy stick. You can also use a wine cork or like a little piece of faux leather, whatever you got. And then to close the top, we're going to use the same method that we used for the bottom. I'm going to running stitch all the way around the edges here. Remember, just in and out, in and out. And then I'll meet you when I come back around and we'll close it up together. Okay, I've made it all the way back around here and we're just going to pull, 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 get it all cinched up. Might have to play with everything a little bit to get it to lay nice and flat. And you'll start to see your pumpkin come alive. Don't want any stuffing poking out. And you really, really have to pull tight to get the last little bit closed. And then I'm going to go ahead and wrap it around the stem a couple times just to secure it. Maybe a few more because I have lots of slack left, so why not? And then I'm going to go ahead, pull part of it through a stitch here and double knot it on itself to secure it. All of these yarn tails are going to get tucked inside because ain't nobody got time for weaving in ends. And then we just have one more step to really make this look like a pumpkin. So we're going to take our black yarn and cut like, I don't know, like a couple feet. Okay, and we're going to put it right next to our stem here. Actually, let's start with this one. We're going to go next to our stem and on our seam here, since this is already making a little indentation. We're going to pull this tight, flip our pumpkin over, ignore this yellow piece of yarn, and then we're going to double knot it underneath the pumpkin. And you want to do it kind of tight so that it pulls in the sides of the pumpkin and makes the ridges. Okay, we're going to repeat that a couple more times. So I'm going to cut a new piece of yarn here, flip it back to the top. Let's go this way now. This is kind of something you just got to eyeball for yourself here, but I think I'm going to do 3 strings in total. Tight, kind of tight, so that you get those nice ridges. Okay, last one here. All right, and then you just might need to manipulate the strings a little bit to make sure that they're all more or less evenly spaced. And sometimes you can even like push and prod and squish and kind of sculpt the stuffing inside to get it to look more like how you want it. But I'd say that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you made some super cute patchwork pumpkins. If you did, tag me on social media at 9inspired. I'd love to see you. Happy Halloween!